You clicked this video likely because either A, you're an organization that's doing some type of impact work already. Maybe you're a nonprofit or a very specifically mission-driven business that cares about impact and is already implementing some type of meaning and purpose in the work your organization is doing. Or B, you work for an organization that's curious about building an impact plan because you recognize that consumers care quite a bit about what brands stand for. In fact, studies have shown that 50% of consumers are willing to pay a premium for a brand that aligns with their values. They care so much about impact and what your brand stands for that they'll pay more money to use you over your competitor. That's meaningful to your organization, regardless of what its product or service is. And some of that comes from some of the negative behavior we've seen from large corporations over the past several decades, things that have been harmful to communities. And with the rise of social media and access to information, it's much easier for consumers to get information about companies and organizations' bad behaviors. That's why having true impact and a true values-driven strategy can make a significant difference in building your organization's vision for the future. Today, I want to leave you with 3 simple questions to assess where your organization is in its process towards building towards a plan that has an impact on the community. These questions are designed to help you evaluate where your organization is and position you to take the next steps. The first question is, does your organization have an impact plan, or does it have just a business plan? I personally worked with organizations of a wide variety of sizes and types and organizational structures. And when organizations say that they want to have a community impact, what I've seen is that can vary pretty broadly between organizations as to what that actually means. Some organizations have very explicit and clear impact plans with an understanding of how their actions will create a change for a certain specific community or group of people. Other organizations simply have traditional business plans that set 3 to 5 year strategic goals, but don't really address the impact that they want to have. That's something that's an aside and doesn't actually get put into the core strategic plan. In either case, your organization does need to have a clear 3 to 5 year strategy. But to be successful in building an impact plan, you want to be sure that you're giving it a similar merit that you're giving any other of your organization's strategies. The best impact plans are the ones that are integrated into your organization's work. The best plans are the ones that become part of the culture where the employees really feel engaged with the impact. And it's not an aside. It's not a side project or a distraction from some of what can be perceived the key strategic goals that are set out in traditional strategic plans that don't address impact metrics. To give you an example, in a traditional plan, your organization may have a goal around maybe adopting a mobile app, just as a simple example, in the next year. So you put in your strategic plan, we want to adopt a mobile app in the next 12 months. That's great, but if you're thinking about impact, your organization may want to take that extra step of thinking a bit more deeply about who might have difficulty using or accessing that mobile app for whatever reason. Let's say you have a group of older customers, some people who aren't quite as digital literate as another segment of your consumer base. So if you want to build impact around that strategic goal, maybe something that you might put in your impact plan as an example is, let's say, as we launch this mobile app, we're also going to do 5 trainings throughout the years at senior centers to make sure that older individuals have access to using this app and are comfortable using our services through this particular online tool. Your organization may even add an element like, we're going to engage with 3 to 5 nonprofits in our community and hold a contest where we'll provide some funding to the organizations that are able to meet a certain minimum number of getting people trained on our app so that people are comfortable using it. Your organization is not just thinking about the strategic goal that will carry the organization forward, it's also thinking about how it will engage those who may have trouble with the organization's change or shift in direction, and make sure that it's being inclusive and considerate of challenges that people may have in adapting to the new way your organization is doing things. So that's question 1. Does your organization have impact built into its 3 to 5 year goals, or does it just have very traditional business metrics that measure profit, that measure efficiency, and that measure culture, but maybe don't measure impact around you as an organization on a community that you think you can serve with your particular business model? Question 2, do our metrics measure what we want to have an impact around? In other words, is your organization really tracking around the things that it's saying are significant toward the impact it wants to have? Your organization may be tracking some things, but they may not be the right things. In order to have an impact, one of the keys is having crystal clarity around the problem that you're trying to solve. Your organization has a business model. If you're a nonprofit, you operate in a certain way, receiving grant money, and then typically providing services to people based on that funding you receive. If you're a for-profit business, you can still have an impact, but your core operations typically will center around a different type of product or service. Based on your business model, the type of impact that you have will vary. A nonprofit will have a very direct impact on a community need. Maybe it's providing job training. A business might also work around job training and what's called workforce development, but they might do it differently in their hiring and outreach practices and their onboarding practices. So even though that end goal of providing job training to a certain group of people may be very similar, the way it's approached between a not-for-profit organization and a for-profit organization is going to be very different. However, it's not uncommon for organizations either A, not track their impact because they're busy delivering the product or service and don't always feel like they have time to follow up. So as you ask the question as to whether your metrics are measuring the right thing, a key sub-question is, are we measuring our impact at all? If the answer is no, then the place to start is, let's start determining what we're going to measure. If the answer is yes, then the question is really designed to help you evaluate whether what you are tracking leads to the outcome that you hope the group that you're trying to engage or serve will have as a result. As an example of this particular question, maybe your organization has a corporate social responsibility or an external engagement program, and you might be measuring total volunteer hours among employees. And while volunteering in the community is a really great way to engage, if you're just measuring total volunteer hours in aggregate, you might not actually be capturing whether those volunteer hours have anything to do with helping people get through job training in the previous example that I used. You might end up having a very high number of volunteer hours, but with people volunteering at animal shelters and nature parks and senior centers and all kinds of things, and you're not really concentrating your effort around the thing that you stated you wanted to have an impact around. Impact starts with being crystal clear around the problem that you're trying to solve. So if you want to determine whether your metrics are measuring the right thing, answer the question, what problem are we trying to solve? And do the things that we're tracking lead to that result? The third question to ask around having an impact is, what community groups or local stakeholders have we engaged in new ways in this particular year? Having an impact on a community, on a group, engaging more broadly requires a network. None of us work in isolation. And when we're trying to solve a complex problem in the world, we have to work with other people. No one organization can address every area of an issue. Every different type of organization and every different type of stakeholder really does play a role in coming together and creating change in communities. In order for you to truly have an impact, you can't work in a silo as an organization. You've got to engage with community partners. If you're a for-profit business, engage with nonprofits who are providing direct service. Nonprofits may more naturally engage with for-profit companies as part of their fundraising strategy, but in any case, there's a whole network of people in your community that impact the issue that you're trying to solve. And working on an issue means working well with the people who are doing work in the area. Do an assessment of what organizations you have worked with over the past year. If you haven't worked with any new organizations, set a goal to begin to go out and determine who you might want to work with or collaborate with in the upcoming year. If you're not having enough conversations with new people, you may be becoming siloed with the work that you're doing and missing some broader perspective. So set a goal to have some conversations with key stakeholders in the community, maybe even those outside of the work that you're directly doing. Make community interaction and make networking and engagement a core part of your impact strategy. You'll gain new ideas and new partners and be able to work with people who can bring strengths to the work that you're doing in new ways. Just a quick recap of the 3 questions. Does your organization have an impact plan or just a business plan? Question number 2, do the metrics measure what you want to actually create change around? And then number 3, what organizations or community partners are you working with? I hope this was useful. Profound Hope Industries has a full questionnaire to help your organization audit its impact. If you'd like to get that, go ahead and click the link below in the description here, and you can download a quiz that will help your organization assess where it is to begin strategic planning for upcoming goals and having a greater impact and greater values alignment in the future. Thanks for watching. Profound Hope Industries works with businesses and nonprofits to build sustainable, realistic impact strategies. Like and subscribe and follow along for more content in the future.